Other news, the United States Soccer headquarters are coming to Metro Atlanta.
That's right. And right now, U.S. Soccer holding a summit in downtown Atlanta. That's where we find Atlanta News First reporter Chelsea Beimfohr. Chelsea, you spoke with the U.S. Soccer president about why they chose Fayette County, about 30 miles south of downtown, for this massive project.
Yeah, and their summit is going on right now here at the Coca-Cola headquarters. Coke is a massive sponsor of U.S. Soccer and the new training center that's going to be about half an hour south of here. Panelists said this morning the new National Training Center will span 200 acres, create more than 400 jobs, and include over a dozen soccer fields. It's a $228 million investment for the state of Georgia, according to Governor Brian Kemp. The idea is to give U.S. Soccer a permanent home and help develop and support players in one central location. U.S. Soccer President Cindy Parlow-Cone says Atlanta was the obvious choice when it came to selecting a new home base.
Why not Atlanta? I mean, there's so many reasons that we wanted to make Atlanta our new home. Obviously the airport is helpful. The climate here, we can play soccer outside year round, but also the people. It's a very diverse community.
And groundbreaking for this new training center is expected this spring. Reporting live in downtown Atlanta, Chelsea Beimfohr, Atlanta News First.
All right.